death awareness meditation that I've been working with the last 2 sessions. So again, we just have to remind ourselves we're doing this meditation with a bit of a joyous mind, even though we're working with the subject of death, so that we can make sure that we use this life very meaningfully. So let's go ahead and begin as we usually do, with just a bit of focused meditation. Uh, Please make sure all your microphones are off for sake of everyone. There's a bit of an echo right now. Okay, great. So we're going to do breathing meditation for the first few minutes, as usual, just to give ourselves the chance to focus the mind. So you no doubt have a way that you work with the breath, so you can go to that. If you need a suggestion, tune into the sensation around the nostrils, just feeling that sensation as you inhale, as you exhale, and trying to stay present with it as best as you can. Whenever you see the mind has wandered away from the breath, then gently guide the mind back to the breath, letting go of whatever it was that distracted you. So I'll ring the bell to begin the meditation period. I'll come in a few minutes. We'll set our motivation and then begin this guided meditation. So now let's set our motivation for today's meditation. And all the great masters in our tradition say that the purpose of life is to benefit others, to be of the greatest benefit to all sentient beings because we see clearly their situation, how much they are suffering, dealing with dissatisfaction, never finding any true peace or happiness. This is always at the heart of our motivation, is how can we live our lives and dedicate our time to being of the greatest benefit to all beings. But within that is the recognition that we do have to become more qualified to be able to truly help them in our current state, given our own crazy minds, our own behavior. It's very hard for us to even benefit ourselves, much less benefit others. So whenever we sit down to meditate, to work on our own minds, to develop our own understanding of the Dharma, we do this so that we can eventually remove all of our negative tendencies and accomplish all the virtuous qualities. And in that state of having done that work, we then will achieve perfect enlightenment, become a Buddha, and then be able to benefit all sentient beings to the greatest degree. So set this motivation of bodhicitta, this mind that aspires to fully awaken yourself so that you can then help all beings perfectly. So let's briefly review the points that we've already examined in this meditation. First, that it is absolutely certain that death will come for each one of us. Without a doubt, each of us will die, and we are getting closer to our death moment by moment. The conclusion we had from that was, therefore, we have to practice Dharma. We have to engage in the Dharma. Make this life meaningful, because death is coming. And then last week we examined the uncertainty of the time of death, the fact that there is absolutely no guarantee of how much time we have remaining. Death could come today. Death could come much sooner than we think. We have no idea. There are many causes of death. The body is quite fragile. With that understanding that death could happen at any time, we need to live our lives with not just a determination to practice the Dharma, but to do it now, because we may not have it tomorrow. So in this last set of meditations we're going to engage in today, we project forward to the time of death to really analyze what will be of greatest importance then, so that we really get the message as to how much we need to practice Dharma and how much force we need to put into our practice. So first begin by imagining that it's right now, today, the day of your death. And imagine that you're in your own bed, dying. The process has begun. You can think about who's surrounding you in the room, those friends, close ones, loved ones. Think of all your possessions that you currently have in the room there with you in your house where you're dying. Just set the stage for that happening. And again, this can be a challenging meditation, but that is going to happen at some point. We may not have the luxury of dying in our own bed surrounded by loved ones, but death will happen. We have to be ready for that moment. So imagine it right now as if it were happening. So spend a minute or so kind of really feeling that you're in that space of being in your last moments. So now we're going to examine the things that we've tended to rely upon in this life to see if they will be of any benefit at the time of death. So as you lie on your deathbed, and what kind of thoughts come into your mind? What are the strongest attachments? And certainly one of the main ones during our lives has been our family, our friends, the dear ones, maybe even our pets. So no doubt we would think of them if we were approaching death at this moment. But even if they're there with you as you're imagining, think about those dear loved ones, looking at their faces, them being there with you. Will they be of any benefit? Individually or collectively, can they do anything as you move into the death process, as you separate from this life? Moreover, examine the degree to which you have attachment to these beings, how painful it will be to separate from them. That when we die, we go alone. No one, not even our closest, dearest loved one, can accompany us. So as you meditate on this, think again about the importance of being able to work with our minds so that when that time comes, we can say goodbye to loved ones, to friends, to dear ones, and be at peace rather than have a mind troubled by attachment. Recognizing the attachment we have to these people, see how much it can be a hindrance as we go into the death process. So spend a few minutes reflecting on that, trying to make some determination about how to work with your own attachments to those dear people in your life. Not only do we have great attachment to our friends, those dear ones in our life, but we also have great attachment to our possessions. But when you think about the time of death, as you lie there in your deathbed, of what benefit will all of these possessions be? All of your wealth, all the things that you own. Certainly wealth might get you a bit more comfort at the time of death, but we have to leave it all behind. It cannot stop death from happening. When you die, you cannot take even a penny with you. All of those possessions that we've had great attachment to will all have to be left behind. And think about your own mind having to deal with that attachment being a hindrance, not allowing you to die peacefully, to let go of this life, all the possessions that you've accumulated throughout this life. And spend the next few minutes reflecting on your own relationship to these possessions, these items that we have in our lives that will be of no benefit at the time of death, and all have to be left behind without exception. And what is it that you want to do now to help to address that attachment, to die peacefully? And then the last thing that we tend to rely upon so much, that is such a great support to us, is of course our own bodies. Your body has been your constant companion since birth. You've cared for it, protected it, worried about it, kept it comfortable and healthy, fed it, cleaned it. You've experienced everything through this body. It's been your most treasured possession. Thinking about the strong sense of dependence and attachment that you have to your own body, we ask the question, what benefit will it be at the time of death? The Buddha says that at death, our consciousness will leave the body behind, just like a hair pulled out of butter. Consciousness goes on to another existence. The body is left behind, becomes worm food, is cremated, buried, what have you. If we die with great attachment to this body, how difficult will it be for that process to unfold? So here too, reflect on your own attachment to this body and acknowledging it and seeing how much it's a hindrance to having peace in your mind at this time of death. What are you going to do about that? How are you going to address that? So within this recognition that all three of these have to be left behind, all our loved ones, all of our possessions, even our own treasured body, none of this can go with you. Consciousness goes on, and therefore it is vital that we learn how to take care of our minds. That's the only thing that continues to the next life. And therefore, we have to decrease the negative states of mind, our anger, our attachment, our jealousy, our pride, our ignorance. And we have to cultivate all the positive qualities: faith, loving kindness, compassion, patience, wisdom. This is what this meditation is telling us. If we imagine ourselves right now on our deathbed, what will be of most benefit is the degree to which we have worked with our minds, the diminishment of our own attachment, our anger, and so on, and the love that we can abide in, all the positive states that will allow us to die peacefully. And moreover, it becomes very important that we tend to our actions, because our karma imprinted on the mind will go with us. All the actions we do through our minds, all the verbal utterances, all of the physical actions, everything is imprinted on the mind and will shape our future experience. So coming to a conclusion from this meditation, we absolutely have to practice the Dharma, have to practice it now, but moreover, we have to practice it purely, with great force, great enthusiasm. So when death does come, when we are on our deathbed, we can die with a happy, peaceful mind, free of fear, and have an assurance that we go on to a good existence, to future experiences that will help us to develop ourselves fully, to be of great benefit to all beings. And so let's take a moment then to dedicate all this positive energy, and as I've done the last few times, just to first, generate some joy in our minds that we have the opportunity to do this sort of meditation. It can be challenging, be hard for us to look at the reality of our own death. But if we don't think of it now, when death comes, it will totally take us by surprise, and we will find that we're not prepared at all. So dedicate the positive energy from doing this meditation so you can die with a peaceful mind, a happy mind, that you can die with the mind rich with compassion and love and all the positive qualities. And also that you can continue on this path all the way to enlightenment, become fully awakened, and help all sentient beings to do the same. We also dedicate for the good health and long lives of all of our spiritual teachers, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Geshe Thupten Sherab, Venerable Rabina Korten, whoever we have as spiritual guides and whoever others have as spiritual guides. May all of these beings continue to abide in this world with good health, long lives, and may we and others always benefit from their guiding presence. And lastly, we dedicate for those beings we're holding in our hearts right now, whoever it is whose situation moves us, whether they're dealing with obstacles or illness, are dying, or who have died, dedicate for their welfare. May they benefit from what we've done here today by having their suffering removed completely and everything that is positive ripen in their lives so they can accomplish true peace and happiness. And may all beings find true peace and happiness through what we've done here today. Okay, thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm taking a little hiatus from these morning meditations, which you may have seen. Matt will be leading them, I believe, on Tuesdays. So anyway, I will see you all again at some point. Please stay safe and healthy and be well. Okay.